Between weirdly colored grass, crafting, movement options, and even jewelry collecting, there's a lot to take in with a new remake of Resident Evil 4.
Oh, you were expecting me.
While we have a ton of tips aimed specifically at helping with combat, this will be more geared towards non-combat systems. Here's 10 new beginner tips for the Resident Evil 4 remake. Save your herbs until you can combine a green, red, and yellow, as this will not only heal you fully, but permanently raise your maximum health. Instead, use first aid sprays and food items like eggs you can find on the ground. Don't shoot the chickens if you can help it, as they'll keep laying eggs that you can find if you return to an area. If you do need to use an herb, just use a green one since those are more plentiful than the other two. While selecting a health item in the attaché case, it will show in your health bar how much you can expect it to fill. Unlike the chickens, you should shoot the crows, as they often drop pesetas or gems, or even valuable crafting resources. It's a cruel world out there, and it's about time they learned it. The quick turn returns from OG RE4, but instead of being on one of those face buttons, it's bound to down and the run button. You also don't need to hold the run button to move more quickly, you can just tap it and be on your way. You can also toggle this in the control settings if you really just want to hold the button down. Crafting makes a return from RE2 and RE3 Remake, and you can access it multiple ways. By entering the actual crafting menu, by selecting craft by choosing the item in the case, or, in the case of combining herbs, just by moving one on top of another and hitting confirm. It can be tempting to craft these as soon as you have the resources in order to free up space, but try and wait to see what you need, as going into your case pauses the action. No need to be hasty. We briefly touched on this in our combat tips video, but we think it bears repeating. You don't have to shoot traps to set them off. Tripwire traps can be deactivated by crouch walking up close to them and hitting the interact button, but they'll still go boom if they're shot or hit. You can't reactivate bear traps, but you can disarm them by hitting them with your knife. In a change from the original game, you don't need to pull out your knife to smash crates. You could just press the interact button and Leon will kick straight through it because he's cool like that. Also, unlike the original game, Leon can't just sell spinels. Wait, spinels? Spinel. Leon just can't sell the tiny pink gems you receive. Most of these will be found by turning quests into the merchant, and they're used in the trade tab to receive things like treasure maps, yellow herbs, and even special weapons and attachments. You can also rarely find these in the wild, but they're few and far in between, so use them wisely. Always check the description on loose gems and treasures, as they can often be combined to multiply their sale value. There's even a cheat sheet that shows which combinations of colored gems will give you the best value multiplier. Just hit the on-screen prompt for gemstone bonuses while in the Inlay Gemstones menu. Don't be shy about upgrading your weapons. You'll get a lot of the money spent on upgrades back when you sell the weapon to the merchant. Some weapons like the bolt thrower can be really strong early on, but less useful later in the game, so you can focus on early upgrades without worrying about wasting money. You can also buy back sold weapons if you scroll to the rightmost tab on the merchant's buy screen. The difficulty of enemies really ramps up in the later chapters, so don't be stingy with the upgrades. There's a few shooting ranges throughout the game, and it's worth your time to get some good scores. You'll receive silver coins that you can trade in for stat boosting charms. If you want to know more about how to excel at these ranges and where to find them, we have a full guide in our wiki on IGN.com. And those are our beginner tips for Resident Evil 4 Remake. If you want to know more tips to help specifically with combat, make sure to check out our combat tips video. And for everything else gaming, keep it right here on IGN.